Welcome to Eye on Horror, the official podcast of iHorror.com. This is episode 92, otherwise known as season 5, episode 14. I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davison. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing great. I just flew back from my vacation on New England and back West Coast in Los Angeles. So fully recovered and full lobster rolls.
I thought you were going to give us that, and boy, are my arms tired.
I'm not that much of a joke.
Well, welcome back. Also with us, as always, is your other host, John Correia. How you doing, Correia?
I'm doing great. Long week at work, but last weekend I got to be a model in Amalia's fashion show over at Midsummer Scream. So,
how'd that go?
Oh, it went incredible. My modeling contract is getting finalized now. So, just going to be like doing a lot of, tasteful nudes and other stuff. But no, it was a lot of fun. The convention was great as always. Midsummer Scream's always so much fun to go to. And being a part of the fashion show was phenomenal. And I can tell you as a hairy husky boy, there's nothing more of like a confidence booster and like a shot to the ego than going out on stage in a pair in just boxer briefs with, I think it was Donnie Darko themed, and like people cheering you on. Like that was great. So
Rad.
Yeah, I saw the pictures from the show, and there were a lot of different body types represented. I'm glad that everything was. I'm glad people weren't jerks about it. Basically, is what I'm saying.
No, dude, the crowd fucking ate it up. Everyone, because it wasn't just like go out do a catwalk thing. Like people danced. There was so much swag and drip everywhere. It was awesome. Like it was a lot of fun. 10 out of 10. If you ever need models, let me know. I'm more than happy to model for you ever again.
Speaking of Emma, she dropped a bunch of new lines just the other day. Do you guys see? I actually pre-ordered one. I don't know if it's a pre-order or an order. One of the Civic TV Videodrome shirts.
Yeah. I'm very tempted by that jacket. That jacket's awesome, but I have this problem because I, grew up in New England, so I would always buy a sweatshirt like once a month because I would go through them like every year. But I've been living in LA for 8 years, so I keep buying a hoodie or a jacket, and I never get to wear them. So I just have a closet full of barely touched hoodies that I refuse to give up, but I just keep buying them. It's a weird habit. I'm like a squirrel.
Yeah, Southern California winter lasts for about a week and a half.
Yeah,
pretty much. And even then, people tend to wear heavier stuff. Like I see people in like full winter gear once the temperatures drop below 60.
Meanwhile, us husky New Englanders are just walking around in sleeveless shirts, just like, it's not that cold.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I keep on telling my coworkers. They're all bundled up. It's like, this isn't so bad.
Hey, you just need a hoodie. Just a hoodie, mate.
Hey, I was born and raised in California, and I still, when, quote, winter hits, I'm still in shorts and flip-flops, but I do wear a hoodie because, you got to keep your core warm.
So you got that's what New Englanders do in like the spring. Like once the sun's out, we still wear our winter jackets, but we'll wear flip-flops and shorts like a bunch of maniacs. It's a disgusting sight of paleness.
Well, my relatives are all from Pittsburgh, so maybe I do have a bit of that blood.
Maybe we'll make a New Englander out of you yet.
Speaking of New England, I did my biannual trip to the Vinegar Syndrome Archive in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Picked up a couple cool things. I got the new release of We're All Going to the World's Fair. Has this really cool glow-in-the-dark cover that kind of fits with the kind of neon aesthetic of the movie and, like the internet creepypasta stuff. And yeah, it was definitely one of my favorites out of Sundance this year. So I'm glad it's got a physical release and more people can check that out. And on the opposite spectrum, I got this new shot on video horror movie release from Saturn's Core Audio and Video, Ravage. And it's this crazy, like, Missouri regional action horror movie about the psychologist whose family is killed by a serial killer who's the leader of a serial killer cult. And he goes on a bloody rampage of revenge to get back at him. And it's like just that kind of mix of Hong Kong action with like just blatant bloody violence. And I've just really been developing a soft spot for shot on video and regional horror lately, because you can see that, despite the clear limitations, they definitely had a passion for their project.
It's always great. I always say, like, give me a low budget, lo-fi film that's filled with passion. That's something that has like all the spectacle but no heart. I think that's one of the reasons why films like Troll 2 resonate with people so well. It's just because like you can feel the passion behind them, and I think that's beautiful with these.
It really is, and I'm glad they're getting second life and a chance to get a new audience instead of being sold out of the back of some guy's van on a blank VHS tape.
Yeah, I also just love how they're getting these beautiful restorations, and you and her like getting charged like $30-$40. And like when like most people would be like, those don't deserve that. Why are you spending $40 on this crappy film? And it's just like, hey, let these people live their lives,
because it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, The Incredible Melting Man is getting a 4K UHD release this month. It's insane, and I love it.
Which like it is incredible. The film. I don't know if that film quote deserves a 4K release, but you bet your fucking ass I'm getting a copy. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun.
And the early works of Rick Baker.
Yeah, if anyone wants to buy my old Scream Factory Blu-ray, let me know.
So I was gonna say, I don't know that one for me is worth double dipping. I think the Scream Factory one is just fine.
So after we recorded our last episode, I checked out this movie called Shrew's Nest on Shudder. Have you guys heard of this one?
No, I haven't heard of it.
It was released in 2014, and it was produced by Alex de la Iglesia, who did I think it was
Perdita Durango.
Yeah, Perdita Durango, and like a bunch of other amazing work. So he produced it, and this was kind of like a Spanish hagsploitation film, very in the vein of like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane and movies of that. But it's about this. It takes place in 1950s Spain, and it's about this woman who has agoraphobia, and she keeps her sister kind of locked into this apartment with her. And her little sister is like the one going out getting the stuff, and she just has this like strong like hold on her. And then one day their neighbor is drunk and falls down the stairs and breaks his leg. And so the sister with agoraphobia brings him into the apartment, and it's kind of like this cross between like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane and Misery, and it's just a really strange, very weird movie. It doesn't go quite over the top as exploitation type titles, but it definitely hits those marks. So I would highly recommend it. Shrew's Nest is a lot of fun.
I saw the only thing I've seen besides what we're going to be talking about for our topic is a couple things that are not really horror, but they're definitely going to be of interest. And the first, which we won't spend too much time on because it's the least horror-y, is DC League of Super Pets. Have you guys seen this?
No.
No.
Sorry, that sounded very dismissive of me, though. I'm just like, no. But
this is what I think DC needs to start doing is movies like this. It basically is Superman and all the Justice League gets captured and his dog has to save them, Crypto. But this one animal shelter was all given superpowers. And actually that's who captures Superman, is this guinea pig who used to belong to Lex Luthor. And to impress Lex Luthor, she captures the Justice League, which is, it sounds kind of fishy, but this guinea pig kind of becomes the Captain Marvel, just like the most powerful guinea pig, I guess, that ever lived. It's really funny though, because Crypto teams up with a dog, a pig, a turtle, and I think it's a chipmunk. It's either a chipmunk or a squirrel, one of those little dudes, and they all have superpowers, and they save the Justice League. They have to save the Justice League from this guinea pig who enlists all these other guinea pigs. So she has an army of guinea pigs that fight, and it's funny because and this part's in the trailer, but at the end, towards the end, the animals all kind of link up with a member of the Justice League, and all that's left is the dog. His name's Ace, and Batman. And Batman goes, Batman works alone, except for Robin. and Alfred and Commissioner Gordon and my IT team and whoever Morgan Freeman played. And he's like listing all these people that he needs to do his operation. It's really kind of funny. But anyway, Batman is Keanu Reeves as well. And Crypto is The Rock. It's Dwayne Johnson. And Ace is Kevin Hart, which is funny because those two have a chemistry, which you wouldn't expect from The Rock and Kevin Hart, but they really do.
Well, they've been in a few movies together.
They've been in a lot of movies. Yeah. They've been in like 4 or 5, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. And I was just telling someone the other day because they were like, "Oh, what'd you think of the Batman?" I was like, "Yeah, I like the Batman. Don't get me wrong, I like it, but like, we don't always have to have dark and brooding like the whole film. Like we can I like fun Batman. I like the Schumacher films. I loved Lego Batman. I think Lego Batman had one of the best Joker Batman relationships of any of the movies. And, it's okay to do that once in a while. Not everything needs to be fucking, like Todd Phillips Joker or the Batman all the time. Like, let's have some goofiness.
You should see DC League of Super Pets then, because I think it's one of the same guys who did Lego Batman.
Yeah, I'll check it out, but
give it a whirl. It's a pretty fun movie.
I have trouble going to the cinemas for kids movies in general, but let alone during a pandemic. So I'll catch it on video. Yeah,
you can wait for video at home. This isn't like a spectacle movie like Nope.
Yeah,
one that might be worth the fear is the other one that I've seen. God, our segues rule. Bullet Train. Did you guys see Bullet Train?
No.
This one isn't really horror, but it is about a half a dozen assassins on a train. So it's kind of like a Tarantino narrative with like Jackie Chan comedic action. But it's stylized kind of like a Guy Ritchie or a Danny Boyle movie. It's real. It's just hyper stylized. Brad Pitt is in it. And the funny thing is, it's weird to say this, but Brad Pitt's not even the biggest name in it. But it's directed by the guy who did John Wick and Atomic Blonde and also Deadpool 2. And that kind of gives you an idea of what I'm talking about, like not the biggest name in it. There are literally less than a scene, like just a few second cameos, kind of like Brad Pitt's in Deadpool 2, where they're like bigger names that pop into this movie. It's pretty freaking funny.
The camera just pans and Laurence Olivier is just sitting there in a boxcar drinking tea, and it just keeps going.
Not quite that bad, but just see it. And actually, knowing that Brad Pitt did this in Deadpool might kind of tip your hand on one of the people who does it in this. But yeah, basically, there's 2 assassins who are tasked with bringing this big crime boss's son and this silver case full of ransom to him. And then there's a bunch of other people on this train who either want the case or just want revenge on this guy. So, all their paths cross and they all fight. But what's funny is that Brad Pitt's character, his name is Ladybug, his code name. They all have code names. And this is his first job back, and he's not really an assassin. He's a badass, but he's like a smash and grab guy. So his job is to steal the case. But this is his first job back he had like an emotional breakdown. So he keeps like recommending self-help books to people or like quoting his therapist to them. He's like, "Oh, you have issues. You know what my therapist always says." It's really funny to have this. It's a bit like Grosse Pointe Blank, where John Cusack is kind of second guessing his career choice the whole time. That's like what it's like, but it's getting skewered by the critics. Critics are hating this movie, but I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was, the big joke that people are saying in their reviews, which is wholly unoriginal. They're saying Bullet Train goes off the rails. And you know what? It does, but it's supposed to. That's the only place it can go, as it, speeds along its way. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
So it wasn't a train wreck for you?
Not at all.
I should be a online critic with
it's funny. I'm sure someone has said that, but I haven't seen that as much as I have seen the people say it goes off the rails. That's funny though, the train.
I hate that like pull quote type of criticism where everyone's just trying to like find that one thing. I mean, and we might as well name this episode "Eat, Pray, Love" with our topic.
No, it's like that. There was this joke on Jay Sherman the Critic where he's shown he did the same joke about Tom Cruise movies several times in a row, saying that Tom Cruise is on cruise control. Dude,
the Critic was so ahead of its time with like
really
making
was.
fun of critics, because like that it was like right around that time where we started seeing more of those like bad take things, and
it stinks.
It stinks.
I actually know a critic who he's like that, except instead of saying it stinks, he says it sucks. but I know a guy who's like that. It's so funny.
I'm gonna take this in a different direction. So I watched a Lifetime original movie the other day. Yeah, I know we don't review those much often on this show, but
because we don't watch them, probably.
Yeah, we don't really watch them. Sorry, guys. But this one, it was called "I Was Lorena Bobbitt," and it's directed by Danishka Esterhazy, who did the Banana Splits movie and the last Slumber Party Massacre movie. And that's what intrigued me, because, you know, growing up, always heard the stories about Lorena Bobbitt, the woman who cut off her husband's penis. And especially in the 90s, it was a joke. It like throughout the whole decade, like it was just like, and they still make jokes about it to this day.
It was so unbelievable.
From the man's perspective, yeah, if you don't listen to her story, it's like, oh man, this is insane. But I mean, time has been a bit kinder to her, and it's been really interesting because, you know, Jordan Peele produced a 4-part docuseries on Amazon Prime back in 2019, and now Lifetime made this movie in 2020. And the interesting thing about it is it's a true crime reenactment documentary movie, in that Lorena Bobbitt actually narrates it, and they have interviews with her throughout the movie.
The real Lorena Bobbitt?
Yeah. It's her. She doesn't go by Lorena Bobbitt anymore. She goes by her maiden name, Lorena Gazzo, I believe. And it's very interesting because basically the whole movie is about, it's just her going hard and talking about all the stuff that of what led her to that moment, of what led it to it, which is basically just all the abuse, all on so many different levels that John Bobbitt put her through. And it really drives home, especially if you were around during that time, what happened with like the jokes and like the fact that John Bobbitt tried to have a porn career after. Like once you know like the actual story, you just get more and more disgusted with how we as a society reacted to it. And you know, at the end of the day, it is a Lifetime original movie. So some of the acting is, you know, some of the, you know, choices are very on that level, but the acting is actually pretty good in it, especially from the lead actress who plays Lorena in the more reenactment parts of it. But it's a very interesting blend of like that kind of reenactment TV, but like kind of given a better budget and more artistic choice. So it's worth checking out. I mean, I'm definitely interested in seeing where this director's going, because she's got these 3 projects under her belt that are all very different, very interesting, but they're all TV movies. So I'd like to see what she does outside of that realm and kind of is more unleashed, you know? But yeah, I Was Lorena Bobbitt. I think it's on sale on Vudu right now. I don't know for how long, but it was like $5.
Yeah, no, that is very interesting, because I do feel like, you know, especially before the internet, just so many of these types of stories were twisted and just became like the butt of late night jokes to the point where the truth was obfuscated.
Yeah. And it's messed up because they go into it too about like basically as soon as like they both kind of recovered from that night, she kind of like withdrew, because she was an immigrant. She came to America when she was 18, and when the incident happened, she was only 22, and so English wasn't her first language. So they go into about how that initial interview that was used against her a lot, she didn't know how to say words like rape and stuff, so she tried to use words that she did know, which did not portray that act at all. Things of that nature, or how John immediately went to the press and was just like, oh man, she's crazy, she cut off, you know, and then like just completely tried to spin it. And so when he went to trial and they went over like all the messed up stuff with like the court systems and everything. But when he went to a trial, he got acquitted. And then when it was her turn for getting charged for maiming, they like put him on the stand, and like instantly like everyone went against him because he just kept lying and lying and lying on the stand. So he proved himself to be uncredible. It was again, for a Lifetime movie, it was very good. I wouldn't say I would enjoy it because it's not an enjoyable like, subject matter, but it was very well done.
Well, I remember when that happened, there was no quote woke culture at that point. So when the news first broke, the lines of allegiance, I guess you could say, were very cut and dry. Like men sympathized with John Wayne Bobbitt and women sympathized with Lorena Bobbitt. They're like, oh, good for her. And the men are like, oh, how could she do that to him? But then, like you said, as the subtleties of it came to light, people were like, oh, he kind of was a dick, like he kind of, I mean, I don't know if I could say anybody really deserves that, but people were, even men were starting to see why she did that.
Well, and that's one of the really good things about the movie is they go into why she did that exact thing. And it's because throughout all of his abuse and everything, it was mainly sexual assault and rape. And he kept telling her, if you leave me or do anything, I will find you and I will still have you. You are mine. And so like that was his instrument of torture. And so in that moment, she took away his weapon of torture, which was his penis. And so like it makes sense, and I'm not saying like I'm not going to validate anybody on anything with hurting someone else, but like, I get it,
Didn't she like cut it off and then like throw it from a car or something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like
it's kind of amazing that A, they could even find it, and B, they could reattach it.
Well, she called the cops and told them what she did and where to find it because it was all a moment of like, being, suffering from abuse and the PTSD from it. And like, all these things, it was kind of like a blacking out and like just going into autopilot essentially. So she kind of came to driving away and just went, oh shit. And like, tossed it out of the car. But yeah, the movie explains it very well. And the 4-part documentary series is also really good. So yeah, if you want to get the real scoop behind it all, I recommend watching both. Yeah.
Do they show her coming out of her trance, looking down and seeing like a weenus in her lap? I mean, do they actually show that scene?
It's the opening scene, and it's not in her lap. It's just, she just had it in her hand the whole time.
In her hand? Oh,
wow.
And she described like it was difficult to drive with one hand, and like it's
why can't I use this hand to drive? Oh,
I mean, like they don't show the penis because it's a made for TV movie, but they do show
that's
her,
true.
like,
It's
driving.
TV.
They show her driving frantically and then going like and throwing it out the window, and it's again, it's shot really well. So there's no like little moments of like, oh hey, this is a funny thing. It's very tastefully done.
On another note, I felt like I should bring this up, but sadly, I heard the news yesterday that a noted actor, especially in genre, Clu Gulager, passed away over the weekend.
R.I.P. Clu.
Yeah.
And that was just really sad to hear. And I actually hadn't seen him for a while, because the thing is that he was a repertory theater regular. Like I saw him all the time pre-pandemic at like the New Beverly, the Egyptian, the Arrow, the Vista. Like he was everywhere. He just loved hanging out and going to the movies all the time.
He was one of the nicest dudes. I went to a double feature of Night of the Creeps with Return of the Living Dead, and he did a Q&A. And
oh yeah, I was there for that.
I guess this kind of segues because he brought this giant prop penis for some reason. I don't know why. I think it was just like this thing where it's like, this is part of my bit. And like, it was just like, okay, Clu. Like he was just such a nice, and he met with everybody. He took pictures with everybody. It's hard to forget that night because Clu was just such a great guy and so memorable in every role he was in.
Yeah, I heard apparently that giant penis was a prop from some kind of stage play or something he did, and I guess he just wanted to bring it with him as a joke, and it made it for a memorable Q&A. I will say that.
he worked on a thing that involved giant penis, and he just like immediately was like, "This is gonna be my thing now. Every time I go to something, I'm gonna bring."
Guess.
And it wasn't, and I don't mean like it was like, you know, like bigger than a hand. Like this thing was like half his size. Like it was. I'm gonna find that picture because I have a picture of me and him with the penis. So I'm gonna find this picture, and we'll post it.
I was picturing it like bigger than him, like 7 feet tall. So
half that.
Okay.
Yeah. It was
but
like,
still big.
Like it could sit in a theater seat next to him comfortably, and they would be like at head height together. Head height.
Yeah. But either way, you know, it has been nice to seeing just the outpouring of love for Clue from the community, from, you know, a variety of different directors and filmmakers and fans and everybody. And he lived a very full life. I mean, he was 94.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's still sad news, and definitely going to rewatch some of his movies soon. Like I've been wanting to revisit Feast for a while. He was pretty fun in that one. But yeah, R.I.P. Clue.
Didn't he play the dad in Nightmare on Elm Street 2?
He did. Freddy's Revenge. He was the dad.
Yeah, he was Mark Patton's dad.
With the exploding parrot.
You did this with an M80 or something. I know you kids.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, no, it was funny seeing him pop up in a bunch of New Line Cinema movies, because also he was the chief in The Hidden.
He was his generation's Bill Paxton.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have you guys checked out the new movie They Them on Peacock or in theaters? I guess it's not in theaters. I guess it went straight to Peacock.
Is it on paid Peacock or is it on any of the free tiers?
I don't know. I signed up for the paid for Halloween Kills and kind of have just kept it for the Sanford and Son. But yeah, it's the story of a gay conversion camp that's being run by Kevin Bacon and a few others, and it's being stalked by a mysterious killer. And you can kind of tell the intention was trying to do something like to do like an 80s slasher, but with like the seriousness of like Get Out or something, and talking about, you know, LGBTQ issues with a serious note. And it doesn't quite work. The script is very rough. The scenes are just very long. The actors are really great in it. I got to say that there's no.
How's Kevin Bacon? He seems.
He was all right. He just wasn't given much. The problem with the movie is it focuses a bit too much on the drama aspects of things, and the scenes with it are just so long that it kind of forgets. I think this one review by Brian Tallarico on RogerEbert.com, I think he kind of said it best when he said that it's a baffling production that seems almost frightened of its own rich ideas and unwilling to tie them to decades of slasher picks that played fast and loose with gender stereotypes and sexuality. And I think I think that nails it on the head, because like you're sitting there and you're like, this is like a campground slasher film, but almost nothing happens with that. And like there's little moments where it kind of feels like the filmmakers were like, oh shit, yeah, we got to throw in something a little spooky right here, and they kind of do. And it's got a very low body count, which is fine. You don't need to have a high body count, but like it all just kind of happens at once, and it's just very kind of confusing what they're trying to do. And I kind of wish that they had embraced more of that like kind of campy 80s slasher camp side of it. I mean, it didn't even have to be campy. Just I don't know. It kind of you just kind of feel like it kind of forgot that it was a horror movie throughout a lot of it. And even when they were talking about a lot about like LGBTQ and gender, issues, that it didn't come from like the source. Like it felt like it was trying to explain a lot of stuff to like a cis audience. And I think Kay, from the Salem Horror Festival, I think she nailed it on the head with that too, saying that it was developed for a cis audience, and didn't really explore that. So I really, really, really wanted to like this movie, but it just kind of dropped the ball quite a bit. And, I hope this doesn't, I hope this doesn't stop these type of conversations or, people taking on, hey, let's do a slasher film, but do it serious and actually talk about real issues and stuff. Like, I hope it doesn't stop anybody from making that movie again, but yeah, this one just kind of didn't land. So I can understand why it went straight to like Peacock,
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. So like them went straight to streaming, but you know what else went straight to streaming that was actually really fucking good? Oh, segue time into our main point. We're so good with segues today, guys. I'm so proud of us.
That's our thing. I'm gonna throw it out there. Our trademark. Segues.
We're the segue guys. Yeah, just so good at them. Mostly because we keep saying that we're good at them. We keep saying it; it'll be true.
Eventually, we believe it.
But Prey came out this week, which is the latest Predator movie. And I know we all have seen that. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been just like sneaking in viewings of Predator movies all week because of it.
I went back and revisited Predator 2 because you had said that you had rewatched it. I put it on while I was working, probably like how you did.
Yeah.
And you're right. That's amazing. But we'll get to that. Let's talk about Prey.
Let's talk about Prey because I was lucky enough to see it at the Arrow Theater. It was actually the last time that they were showing it in a theater. So I guess they showed it in San Diego and at advanced screenings, and then here in LA.
They showed it at Comic-Con.
And they showed it. Where they showed it at San Diego.
Okay. Yeah, that's where they showed it down here. Yeah.
Yeah. And then and we saw it with the Comanche version. So it was dubbed over in Comanche, which is an option that's available on Hulu, which is incredible because it's the first film feature length to actually be offered in Native American on release.
It's funny because I got a screening link of it about maybe a week and a half ago. And when I watched it, the screening link is only the English version and everything else is so screen accurate. I mean, they actually got Native American actors, the costuming, the makeup, everything is just completely, it's authentic. And then they're speaking English. And I'm like, and the Comanche did eventually learn English, but not for another 200 years. So I'm right. Like, I mean, I get it. This is an action movie, but this is kind of taken it out. I mean, when one of the Comanches says to the rest of his party, I'm going to go take a squat.
Yeah.
You're like, and then I heard about the Comanche thing. So I was really happy. I was like, you can choose on Hulu which way you want to watch. So if you just want to enjoy the action, great. But I think it is important that they did give it a Comanche language release because everything else is so authentic.
Yeah, and that was an intentional choice because they wanted to make it accessible to more people, and they actually had the actors do their own dubbing from as far as I know, and so it's their actual voices. They're just speaking Comanche with it, and the dubbing's really good too. It took me a little bit at the beginning just because they are speaking English, so my mind was lip reading while trying to do subtitles. So like for 2 minutes, it was like a little off, but I got very used to it very quickly. But I mean, like everyone on screen was of Native American descent. Some of the producers were as well. So they were very, very adamant about being true to that. And it's incredible because they were able to pull that off while still making a fucking Predator movie. That was awesome. Like that balancing act, it needs to be applauded that they could do something that was so authentic and as close as they possibly could while still working in and delivering on all the great aspects of a Predator movie. And I got to say, hearing that iconic line of "If it bleeds, we can kill it" in Comanche, and hearing that in a crowd, because like the crowd was all Predator fans, everyone was just in it, cheering and screaming, and oh man, it like that saddens me. But I'm also really excited that so many more people are going to be able to see this film because it is on streaming and it is more accessible.
That was the thing. I was out of town, so I wasn't able to see it theatrically, but God, I wish I could. I watched it last night and it's just such a cinematic movie. And I heard so much about the screening and that, just the crowd lost their shit at some of the fight scenes, which I totally get. And I really wish I could see it, with a big crowd and people cheering and losing it over those fights. And I really do appreciate the Comanche dubbing. I watched that version first because I feel like it does make it feel more authentic, and that way it really brings you more into the story rather than having them speak English. Although I will also watch that version as well to compare. But yeah, I just got to say, believe the hype. This is one of the best Predator sequels of them all.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool about the Predator movies as like a franchise. Is like there's been one in almost every decade for the last 4 decades, and each one reflects, action films of that time. And I feel like this one is very reflective of people wanting to do like more dramaticness or more drama or more things with action than just having cool action sequences. There were some times in Prey, like my one critique was like the kind of hard, constantly going on about like how the tribe and everyone was like, no, because you're a girl, you can't do this. Like there was a few moments where it's like, all right, you're being maybe a little bit over the top with it, and I don't know what the dynamics of like the society was at that time, but it's a very small critique, very on my end at least with that. Other than that, it's just a hell of a fun movie.
Oh, definitely.
One of my biggest takeaways is the bear holds its own. It's in the trailer and the commercial, so you can it's no big secret that the Predator fights a bear, and the bear is actually getting the upper hand for a while.
Yeah.
In fact, the Predator kind of cheats by using his weapons against the bear. I'm going to go out there and say
it. Well, them's just the Predator rules, I guess. But I did find that interesting because there is kind of a crescendo to it because, when the Predator arrives, he sees a mouse and then the snake eats the mouse, and then the Predator kills the snake, and then a wolf attacks the Predator attacks the wolf, and then you go to the bear, and then that's when the Predator first encounters our lead character Naru. So it's like it's climbing up the food chain, as it were.
Well, that's what they're saying. This was the first hunt, I guess they say, the first one on Earth. So maybe he was feeling out, trying to find the apex predator.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Well, that's what the Predator would do.
Yeah. And they reflect that also in the look of the Predator, because he doesn't have the typical like metal mask. It looks more like bone, but it still has a lot of that technology and whatnot in it. I think I read somewhere that someone was saying that Predator is from like the southern tribe of predators or what have you. Cause like, throughout the movies, we learn that there's different tribes, there's different types of predators. There's a whole hierarchy within the predator world, which I always love about predators. Like they will just offhand be like, oh yeah, this is a thing about the mythos, and just like keep going. Like they're not going to be like, okay, so this type of predator is here and this type of predator is here. It's just like, oh, this is a different predator from a different thing. And it's just like, cool, let's keep going.
Make it up as they go along.
The world building in the Predator movies. And we're going to get to talking about the other Predator movies, but the world building is one of the reasons why I love Predator 2 so goddamn much. And did you guys catch the Predator 2 reference in Prey?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I flipped the fuck out in the theater. Because I just watched Predator 2 earlier in the day. When that reference came up, I lost it. I was just like, yeah.
Special note, people should stay and watch through the credits. There's a bit of an animated sequence that kind of connects things. So just keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I lost it when I saw that.
So enough about Prey. Let's talk about Predator as a whole, because as I keep mentioning, there's been a movie almost every decade. We have 5 within the main franchise and then 2 with the AVP movies. I don't know how much we want to get into AVP. I don't know how you guys feel about those movies.
AVP kind of flips the script and makes the Predator the hero. So
which was fun.
They're not quite as effective, although I get it because the alien is kind of a bigger dick than the Predator. But
I mean, especially, because Geiger created it, that's kind of almost literal. I mean, let's start at the beginning with the original OG 1987 John McTiernan Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers and just that's that cast. And
just what an impact it must have made, because like Jonathan was saying earlier, just that each Predator movie is kind of a reflection of genre at its time. Like, that was post Commando Arnold, and like the late 80s was kind of the peak of action, explosive, big budget cinema.
The Rambo days.
Yeah. So, you basically got all these action stars, you drop them in the jungle, and it seems like a typical action movie with Arnold and these special forces guys fighting rebels or something. And then fucking Alien, man.
2 future governors, Schwarzenegger and Jesse the Body.
Yeah. Ventura. And that was what was so cool about the original Predator movie, is they literally got the biggest motherfucking dudes ever. Like Schwarzenegger is at his biggest, Ventura is at his biggest. My man Carl Weathers is just beefy as fuck, and like they showcases that iconic handshake.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. Boom.
It was the Expendables of its time.
Yeah, dude. And like, so you take all these guys that are fucking huge and you're like, these guys are unstoppable. Look how big they are with their guns. And then all of a sudden this invisible force just like completely fucks them up. And you're just like, holy crap. And the effects are just incredible. When Carl Weathers loses his arm, I mean, it's iconic for a reason. And like the one-liners in it are just phenomenal. I mean, come on, Jesse Ventura in the helicopter going like, fuck you guys, I'm a Tyrannosaurus Sex. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
I think he said sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Sexual Tyrannosaurus. Yeah. It's just like,
well, like you said, the effects, they're, when you think of the Predator movies, and every movie has completely ridden these 2 effects into the ground, but one is the heat vision effect that you see, and the other is that cloaking, the light bending, camouflaging. And that's one that every Predator movie has leaned heavily on, both of those, but they're both so groundbreaking, especially for 1987.
Yeah. Now, we all know Predator was a masterpiece, but I want to talk more about Predator 2, because as growing up, everyone hated Predator 2, and I don't know why.
Here's the thing about Predator 2. It was 1990. So it was a couple years before the LA riots, but it opens basically with the freaking LA riots. I mean, the LA riots weren't quite that machine gunning, but it opens basically with this dystopian LA where it's being fought over by drug gangs and the police.
Basically how Fox News portrays LA on a regular basis.
Yeah. And yes. It was set in 1997. So like that, they were just like, this is the vision of the future.
That's right. Yeah. Because they were like, oh, yeah, it's going to get so bad. It's going to get to this point.
Yeah. Just the funniest thing to me, though, is that the gang wars between, I believe, the Jamaicans and the Colombians.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Because there was voodoo happening from the Jamaicans.
Yeah, the voodoo. Yeah. Just such ham-fisted voodoo. I did like that. A lot of like the Jamaican guys were just like, yeah, we don't actually believe in voodoo, but it's a great scare tactic.
Yeah,
they fully admit that.
Yeah. Although I got to say though, King Willie, even though the Jamaican crime boss, even though he's in there very briefly, he did give a very memorable appearance.
Oh yeah, I think one of the main critiques is everyone kind of went, wait, we went from these beefy giant dudes to Danny Glover, which first of all, Danny Glover is ripped in that fucking movie. I will fight anyone on that. Also, Danny Glover's in his late 40s, I think, at this point, because it's been a few. He was 41 when he did Lethal Weapon, and it had been some time since then. But he was still in great shape. Dude was still fucking killing it.
He clearly got that movie on the coattails of Lethal Weapon, because he's almost playing the same dude.
No, he's kind of playing like a combination of Martin Riggs, because he's a professional, but also he's kind of a loose cannon. So he kind of plays both sides.
Well, and that's the thing, is that Predator 2 is very much, as we said, these movies are reflective of the action films of their times. And Predator 2 is like every action film that came out after Lethal Weapon times 10. Like there's cussing out, your lieutenant or your cap or the chief of police. There's the I don't play by the rules. There's the don't go in there until we tell you to. I'm going in there. And then there's Bill Paxton with his weird one-liners and jokes and tales and whatnot. But like as a whole, like the action's great. Gary Busey is still weird as fuck, but awesome in it. And the best part of the movie is at the end when Danny Glover falls into the ship. And there's so much world building in there, because you see the other alien skulls on display with human skulls. You see the xenomorph skull, attaching it to Alien. You see that there was like a bunch of predators in there, and the iconic bit of the predator of Danny Glover taking down the predator, and then one of the other predators giving him a gun from 1715, wink, wink, establishing that this isn't the first time. Columbia wasn't the first time, and this is definitely going to fucking happen again, which is what Danny Glover tells, I think it was Adam Baldwin.
He says it at the end. He says, I'll be ready, or, we'll finish this.
He's like, oh, you'll get your chance.
Yeah, that's like what he says. Yeah, you'll get your chance.
And I thought that was the coolest thing. Like, and that's, again, one of the things I really respect about the Predator movies is that they don't spend a whole lot of time going like, oh, this is the Predator's code. Like, sometimes they do, but like for the most part, it's like, oh, here's a setup, and it just works in the sense that these are intergalactic hunters and this is just how they do things. And that's one of the things I appreciated about Predators, the Robert Rodriguez produced one from 2010, I believe.
Yeah, 2010.
That one changed it because they're transported to another planet. We don't know if it's not the Predators' world, because they're not going to open a hunting, game on their own planet. They're going to do, I think the first time we see the Predator world is in AVPR, but with Predators, they're just literally dropped into this planet, and it's different species. It's different humans from different backgrounds. So you got like a Yakuza guy, you got a Colombian warlord played by Danny Trejo.
Oh, and Walton Goggins as this crazy racist redneck convict with a shiv.
What was up with that character? Like, he had that one bit where he showed the tattoo on his stomach, and he's like, yeah, I got a woman waiting for me back home. And they're like, oh, who's that? Your wife? He's like, no, it's my sister. Like, what? Like, it was just such a weird movie where they were like trying to do, I think it was pre-Expendables, but it was kind of like that thing where it's like, here's a bunch of different like action, and I think what they were trying to do with Predators is show like how much, because in the original Predator, it was one very specific type of action star that they had. Whereas with this one, they were trying to mix it up and being like, yeah, we have a Yakuza action, which led to an awesome sword fight scene. And Adrian Brody, who in his first like action role was like, again, there's always this complaint with the first three Predator movies where they're like, dude, no, they're not as beefy as Arnold. They're not as beefy as Arnold. And they don't have to be,
Yeah. I remember an interview, I think with Rodriguez, where he talked about that, in that they specifically wanted somebody who wasn't, like all ripped and beefy like Arnold, because they wanted to be like, oh, this is just like an average soldier. This is like kind of more like regular soldier these days, because nobody in the army actually looks like Arnold, really.
Yeah. And they made the point of having it that none of these characters really did anything that made them likable. Like Adrian Brody's character is not a likable guy. He's kind of a bastard, and they make that a point like, oh, this is why we were chosen, is because we're all kind of bastards, and like we're not going to really be missed if we get taken. But yeah, it was a fun thing. What about the Predator? That one was the one that like really divided people. Like, people either loved it or hated it. Shane Black's the Predator, I should say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was interesting, and it definitely swung for the fences. Although, to be honest, I didn't really like it as much as I wished I would. I feel like it just kind of complicated things, because there was like that subplot with the soldier's son, and also like something about like the Predators wanting to change the climate. They put climate change as kind of a subplot, because the Predators apparently want Earth to be hotter, so it'd be easier for them to come in or something. Yeah, it's just, there was a lot going on, and like I heard that there was some meddling and rewrites thrown in. So I kind of wish that we had gotten Shane Black and Fred Decker's original vision.
Yeah, it feels like you said, it's kind of a mess story-wise. So it feels like there was some studio interference. I don't think is ever good.
No, but I mean, as a whole, again, the world building of, oh, wait, no, these predators have been like genetically modifying themselves or trying to become, they're not only hunting the best and adjusting their weapons and everything, they're genetically modifying themselves to be better. And that like the traitor predator had like human DNA in it, there. And then you get like the really big motherfucker that comes in who is just like there to just like be the apex. I thought there was like fun stuff with that. I really dug what they did with with what they dubbed themselves the loonies, and all these soldiers that, had PTSD and various, things of that nature. I thought they did a pretty decent job of like respecting that, but also like giving them their moments, of being these, supposed broken characters, and they kind of rally to kind of come together one more time. But yeah, the father-son aspect was a bit ham-fisted, but again, I'm a sucker for world building, so all this stuff about Predator was great.
Oh, and also particular highlight was Keegan-Michael Key. Like he was definitely one of the more fun characters, and also he blew me away because they did a panel at San Diego Comic-Con, and Keegan-Michael Key showed that what a huge Predator fan he is, because he was just dropping like all this terminology and lore. Like he was also using like the Predator species name, the Yautja. And, that just makes me think, like, if they make another Predator movie in the future, they should let him be in it again, or at least co-write it, because he's definitely a fan.
My favorite part of the Predator was the Predator's hunting dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those?
The whole bit where they like shoot it in the head and it's basically lobotomized and it just becomes like a dog was just like such a weird. There's so many. Kay Sterling was phenomenal as like the human antagonist in it, with his random like one-liners. Like that dude should have had way more screen time, because he was like the leader of like Stargazers, and he kept having all these like great bits where he's just like, yeah, we call it the Predator. They're like, yeah, but wouldn't that make him more of a hunter? Yeah, but it sounds cooler. They harp on that so much in the Predator, about like how the Predator was mislabeled from the beginning. But
pretty much. Oh, and I also love that they brought Jake Busey in as like the government science guy, and he's supposed to be the son of Gary Busey's character from Predator 2. So like they're just kind of connecting all the threads.
Yeah, I love the Predator movies, and I gotta say, it's kind of like what I said when we talked about Scream a few episodes ago. Like like as much as I want like a Predator movie to come out every year, I kind of really like them coming out almost once a decade, I don't, they're not as meta or making commentary as much on like the world or what's happening with the genre at the time, but they are truly a reflection of action films at the time. And it's really cool seeing like how many different filmmakers are taking on this franchise and putting their own spin on it. Robert Rodriguez and Nimrod Attel were put a cool spin on with Predators, and we all love Predator 2, and there's definitely studio interference is definitely a huge part in a lot of these, especially with the AVP movies, with having multiple endings, or I think the directors have stated like they didn't mean for our AVP R to be as dark as it was, and it was like the studio just not having that much faith in some of the like CGI and everything. But I mean, I just want more Predator movies, and I want them to come out more frequently, but I just love they're just so much fun. I think I said it, like there's no such thing as a bad Predator movie, only bad AVP movies, but even those are fun as hell.
Who would you like to see direct a Predator movie?
Ooh. Wait. Okay. Like off the top of my head, I would have to say Panos Cosmatos.
Of course.
It was
Why
the first
did we even ask?
I mean, it was the first one to come to mind, but it would be interesting to see him, kind of, because he's done sci-fi with Beyond the Black Rainbow, and he's done kind of action horror with Mandy. So, kind of doing a combination of the two. Like I would be very interested in seeing his take on kind of the Predator technology combined with like that kind of psychedelic action horror, or, just kind of intensity in nature. So I don't know what time period or kind of what characters he would use, but I really feel like that kind of aesthetic style with a Predator movie would be very interesting.
I think I want to see one by David Leitch, the guy, the John Wick guy who also did Bullet Train and Deadpool 2, just because I think the stunt work he does. I mean, he's a stuntman turned filmmaker. He actually was Brad Pitt's stunt double in a bunch of movies. That's how they met. So I want to see what he would do with it. And I don't know if it would have to be a period piece, I would think, because I think it would be more fun with hand-to-hand combat and not machine guns everywhere, you know.
Yeah, I would honestly really like to see a female director do a Predator movie, like Kathy Yang, who did Birds of Prey, or Gina Prince, who did the Old Guard. You know, like I'd like to see like a more of a, because we have that's the other thing that's really cool about the Predator movies, is that there's always been a strong female character who wasn't like your typical like female in distress. Like they were always on that page, whether it was Olivia Munn in The Predator or I'm blanking on names, but Predator 2 had another one where she was very much let's admit it, Predator 2 was trying to be Aliens so fucking hard with its characters, to the point where they got Bill Paxton in there. But I mean, I think it's time to give it to a female director, because, you know, while this franchise always had one strong female character, it's always ever been one, you know, and in almost every movie, it's always just been the one. And, you know, I think Amber Mid-Thunder was fucking phenomenal as Naru in Prey. And it was great to finally see like a strong female character not be secondary to a big beefy boy, you know, and having them take the lead. I mean, AVP did that too. They did have a strong female character in that. But I don't know. I would just really like to see, you know, especially Kathy Yang. She did such a great job with Birds of Prey. I'd love to see that type of like crazy energy be brought to Predator, because that franchise is fucking nuts.
So you want to see Chloe Zhao's Predator?
Yeah, that would be fun as shit.
Lynn Ramsey's Predator. That's the one I want to see. Ooh. Lynn Ramsey do a Predator.
Karen Kusama's
Predator. Karen Kusama too. Yeah, that would be good too.
Karen Kusama would be a fucking awesome Predator director. Although Lynn Ramsey, I mean, she didn't show a lot of action in the Joaquin Phoenix movie.
You Were Never Really Here?
There we go. I was like, fuck, there's a lot of words in the title. I forget. Sorry. But like, you have to see the action. So I don't know about Lynn Ramsey. Plus I need her to keep doing her original stuff, because her shit's phenomenal. But like, yeah, dude, I think that would be great.
Chloe Zhao took a step towards it with the Eternals. So maybe that would be a good choice.
That would be dope. But I think you guys nailed it with Karen Kusama. Like, she would be, after Destroyer and all that, like, oh man, I'm ready for it. Yes, give me Karen Kusama presents, you know, what would the next title be? Like,
let's see. Let's see. We got Predator, Predator 2, Predators, Prey, The Predator,
The Prey,
Apex Predator,
Apex Predator.
Or just Apex. I don't know.
You know, or maybe if they do a female Predator, Predatrix. Not sure in the scientific terminology.
I think Predator can be male or female, though. I mean, the word Predator. I mean, you don't hear them say.
No, you're right. You're right.
With like a lion or a bear or something.
Now that we have ideal directors, when do you want a Predator? Because Prey opens up the door to be able to take place anytime.
Oh yeah.
What would be like, who do you want? Basically, what historical figure or historical time period do you want a Predator to be running around?
I want to see King Arthur's knights take on a Predator.
Oh, nice.
That would be fucking tight.
See, I would like to see a Predator in World War I, just because just imagine a Predator, you know, like going through the trenches in no man's land.
That would be with the cloaking and everything.
Yeah.
And both sides would think that it was an agent of the other side.
Yeah, so it's like passive glory, and then there's a Predator.
That would be fucking sick.
That would be good.
I want, because it was teased so much in the movies, especially in Predators, but I want a samurai Predator movie. I want feudal Japan samurai, because remember in Predators, Lawrence Fishburne character had like a samurai helmet that he modified to have like a Predator mask on the front of it. And ever since, between that and the scene with the Predator and the Yakuza guy fighting with swords, just made me be like, fuck, dude, I'd love to see like a 7 Samurai versus Predator movie,
or 13 Assassins and a Predator.
Oh man,
yeah, buddy.
we've given you ideas for the next 3 Predators movies. I want to see David Leitch do King Arthur versus Predator. We need Karen Kusama with a samurai Predator movie, and Panos Cosmatos with his World War I Predator movie. There you go. You guys are welcome.
I mean, Panos' father directed some of the best action films of the 80s, especially Cobra. So, I mean, it's his time to do a beefy boy action film.
All right, let's call this one an episode. Cool. So what is your favorite Predator movie? And did you guys all like The Predator better than we did? I don't know. Let us know in the comments or in the comments. Let us know on social media. You can find us at Eye on Horror, the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instas. We're everywhere. Our theme song is by Restless Spirit, so go give them a listen. And our artwork is by Chris Fisher, so go give him a like. And let us know what you think of the Predator franchise and what you thought of Prey, because we all liked it. Hopefully you did too. Yep. Liked or loved. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. So for me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correia.
Keep your eye on horror.